The content, views, and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the producer and do not necessarily reflect the view and opinions of the City of Bremerton, BCAT, their officials, or their employees.
Hi, my name is Phil Colcord, President of Fraternal Order of Police Evergreen Lodge 1 here in Kitsap County, and this is our outreach program. Glad to see you here. Welcome aboard. And today, as our guest, we have David Wolner. Did I say that right?
Wolner, yeah.
Okay, very good. And he is Deputy Sheriff with Kitsap County Sheriff's Office, and he is their resource officer.
Yeah, community resource officer. Yeah.
Tell us a little about yourself.
Well, I grew up in Siege-Woolley, Washington, on a farm, so lived a really simple life without a lot of means. I didn't have power or running water for 7 years of my life, so kind of got to understand what it's like to live without a little bit. From there, moved to Federal Way, became an EMT, did that for about 20 years, and then decided to transition to the Sheriff's Office, where I've been a community resource officer for the last 2 years.
Oh, okay. And how's that going for you? You enjoying it?
It's amazing. It's
good.
It's terrible, wonderful, amazing, scary, funny, and rewarding all at the same time.
Sounds like being a cop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay,
Exactly.
good. So describe the current state of homelessness here in Kitsap County.
Well, current state, it's stabilizing a little bit. So over the last 10 years, the population in homelessness all over the country has exploded. So including in Kitsap County. Although it is relational to population, whereas Seattle or King County has around 25,000 homeless people, we have about 600. So, but per capita, we're still relatively high because we have a lower population here. Out of those 600 people, we have about 200 people in shelters of some type. And then out of those 400 that are left, I track about 270 of those. 80 of them I know by first name basis.
And you track them because you go out and talk to them personally?
Well, absolutely. So about 80% of my job is going out in encampments, making contacts with people, looking for encampments, figuring out what people's barriers are, figuring out where they are. And when I say track them, it's so that we can get resources out to them because I partner with so many different agencies.
Mm-hmm. And agencies, you're talking outreach type program?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, whether that's, rehab, mental health, housing, and so on and so forth.
What I'm hearing is your specific role is actually out there trying to connect homeless people with what's available to help them.
That's a large part of it, but the accountability side of it is also really big because one of my mottos is compassion with accountability. And so my job is to go out there and making sure that, they're safe among themselves because there's a lot of, homeless on homeless crime, and also keep them accountable for the warrants that they may have, burglaries, thefts, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What you're kind of telling me this, your views in dealing with the homeless and addressing the homeless.
Mm-hmm.
Can you elaborate on that?
Well, we're all just human beings trying to survive. And I view the homeless as, and everyone in Kitsap County as part of a family structure. And just like if I were at my house and I have a brother that's struggling with addiction, struggling with issues, I'm going to try to help him. And that's the same way I look at when I deal with people who are out homeless. Mm-hmm. They're struggling with addiction, there's mental health issues, so on and so forth. So the number one goal is just to treat them like a human being.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with that completely. My main problem with the homeless, and I don't know how it can be fixed, is that they're homeless, right? There's three different types of homeless, basically. They're three or more. They're mentally ill, they're on drugs, or they're down on their luck and can't lost what they had for whatever reason.
Right.
The ones that lost everything, that one we can fix easier than the other ones in a lot of respect.
Absolutely.
The other two, we need to take care of the homeless, but we need to put top priority in more help for mentally ill and more facilities and help for people that are addicted to drugs than we're doing right now. You know, I've talked to a lot of officers, and they'll go out and they'll have someone that tells them they're ready to go. They've had it. They can't take this anymore, and they can't place them. There's no place to place them.
Right.
That's a problem, and that's a problem I don't think we're addressing clear enough or heavy enough to get those resources available so we have a place to place them.
And that is a huge challenge. So when, we had the Blake decision a few years ago where, in all intents and purposes, it legalized drugs. So we have this system in which we've got, okay, we need to collect, if we find them with drugs, we give them a referral card. And I asked somebody out in the encampment, as I handed them a referral card when I found them using that day, I'm like, how many people out of 100 do you think use this referral card? He's like, probably one if you're lucky. And so you had a system that you weren't able to keep them accountable in. And also when they took our ability away to keep them accountable and put them in jail where they could go to drug court, get routed in that direction, they took that away. They didn't really replace it with the facilities that were needed, like you're saying. So now that we are able to, now they've basically given us tools back, in August 2023 to put hands on people, make contacts with folks with the intent of trying to get them to treatment and refer them to treatment. But if they don't go to treatment, don't want to go to treatment, we can still take them to jail. That is a step in the right direction again, but we still need the facilities.
Yeah, we need the facilities to make that work.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. They took away our accountability, which instead of using it to hurt people, it was designed that we could help people. And they have replaced that to some degree, but not to the extent I think they should either.
Absolutely.
What are some of the biggest challenges you face with your work?
Resources, for one, like you're saying, is a huge challenge. So when I meet somebody that tells me, the other day we have this gentleman named Jim, and he's been out there for decades using, and occasionally I'll run into him and he'll be like, well, I think I'm ready today. I'm like, all right, let's go. I get excited. But if I make a call and I'm not able to get him connected with the resources he needs, the treatment, because he's older, he's on Medicare, it's harder to get somebody into treatment because they're on Medicare, which to me
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense at all. He should have the same ability to get resources as somebody on Medicaid. But when I meet him that day and he says, I'm ready, I want to be able to get him in right then.
Right.
Because that interest may fade quickly. And if, he doesn't get that call right away with somebody who's able to take him in, and he has to wait a day or 2 days, he may just start using it again. He may become discouraged. And that is one of the biggest challenges.
And most of the time they do. From the ones the officers I talk to that have dealt with people, that window is short, and when it's open, you need to grab it and get them the help.
Yeah, absolutely. And because that window is short, that's why having the contacts I do, I will call into KRC, Kitsap Recovery Center. I'll call them right then. Do you have a bed available? Can we do an intake right here? I'll drive the guy over there because it is so vital that we get him there when he's ready to go and has made that decision.
That's good, and it's good. We need a resource like you out there for when those times come, and we don't have enough of them.
Right.
motivated you to take on this role?
When I was an EMT in King County, I saw the population of homeless explode, starting in Seattle, like I said before, and growing out to the county or to the rest of the county. So I worked predominantly in Federal Way and sometimes in Seattle. And we just saw it grow and grow and grow. And I felt powerless to an extent as an EMT working on a private ambulance to get those people the help that they needed. I'd carry pamphlets with the resources that we had in the area, but I didn't have nearly as much autonomy to help them as I could. So when I came to Kitsap County, you know, the sheriff's department gave me so much autonomy when I was just a patrol deputy to do what I wanted to do, that I was out there making those contacts whenever I had free time. And they saw that and said, hey, we're opening up a second community resource officer position. And I jumped on it. It was fantastic. And so I've been able to expand upon what I was doing as a patrol deputy, and in this position, make it a lot more.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all need to have a purpose.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you got a good one there, an honorable one.
Yeah, it's righteous.
So share a story that you might have about human side of this problem.
So, like I said, I know about 80 people by first name. They know me on a first name basis out there. And it's taken time to build trust with that community. And trust is important for me because it allows me to go out there and for them to say, well, I know I can talk to Deputy Wolner and tell him I was assaulted last night by another homeless person. Because before they may not make that report, they may just you say, well, I don't want to be a rat. But because they understand that we're trying to keep them safe and that I'm genuine about that, they'll give me those reports. So I was out in an encampment, just a routine encampment check off of Highway 3 and 303. There's a parcel of property on the north side of 303, and just a routine check. And I knock on a guy's tent, as it were, and there's a gentleman, let's just call him John. John's out there. I know John. I've contacted him several times. He's from Alabama. He's got a Boomhauer accent. We get along just fine. I'm trying to help him get his ID. And so we've built a good rapport. Well, there's another guy, let's call him Steven, who is, I find out is in the tent with him. Well, Steven has a felony warrant for assault 3. And he's fired rounds at other homeless people. He's assaulted them. He's hit females out there. He will victimize people left and right every chance he can get. So Steven's got to go to jail that day. Well, Steven doesn't want to go to the jail that day. So fast forward about 30 seconds, I'm in a wrestling match with this guy who I know has firearms on him. I'm by myself. I'm in the woods. I've given my location to CENTCOM, but it's still, when you're in the woods, you know, they can follow your AVL to your car, which is on the side of the road, but where do they go from there? So I'm wrestling this guy who's reaching down towards his waistband the whole time. And Steven is yelling for John, help me, John, help me. Because he wants John to help him with me, take care of me. So I'm wrestling this guy, and John comes out of the tent, looks down at me, looks at me wrestling with Steven, says, I'm not going to mess with the cops, and he leaves. Okay, I appreciated that. That meant a lot to me. That made it so at least I knew that I wasn't going to have to get in a deadly force situation with 2 people, right? So now I'm wrestling with John. At the end of the day, he's reaching down towards something in his waistband. I get control of him. It turns out it's a baton. Okay. My partners eventually show up. I'm not quite sure how they found me, but they show up and they come in mass. We get him under control. Everything's fine. Everybody's safe. Nobody's hurt. I'm thankful for that. Well, I go back up the trail, and I find that John had not just left, because he could have just totally have left the area and left me to my devices. I'm not going to mess with the cops. I'm done. He didn't leave. He went and found my partners who were frantically trying to find me, and he pointed to them where they could find me down the trail. He said, Wolner's down here. He needs your help. So Okay, Stephen goes to jail. The next day I go and I find John. I go and I shake his hand. Because if he had made a different choice, if he hadn't not only separated himself, but helped me out, it could have turned out completely differently. All of our lives could have been changed.
Yeah.
Because I may have needed to use lethal force on both of them. So that type of relationship is why that I built with him is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And to this day, even though he's, he doesn't really get in a lot of trouble, but he's in that life, he will continue to come out, talk to me, say, I need this, I'm trying to get my ID, we're helping him get his ID, he's engaging with resources, he's continuing to do that. And he's when I meet somebody new who's with him, he'll say, no, he's a good guy, cops are good, talk to him, have a conversation with him, see how he can help you.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's the start.
It is.
You get a bunch of Johns like that on your side, and it can turn mountains.
Yeah, just a little bit at a time.
Yeah. What do you wish the general public understood about homeless people?
A lot of the challenges that they go through, that not every homeless person is engaging in XYZ activity. So we've got a red truck going around Silverdale right now, and some people are convinced that he's in a cartel, and there's illicit activity going in there left and right, and there's an army of fentanyl users going in and out, and the guy's just down on his luck. He's just trying to get back on his feet, after having some setbacks. So, and even though in my experience out here, the vast majority of people, are dealing with some type of mental health, drug use, there is still a light in each one of them and a desire to get out of the situation they're in. They just aren't able to, or, just to get out of it on their own.
Mm-hmm. It brings up one little thing. I worked drugs for many years, and I've arrested hundreds of drug dealers over the years, and I never met anyone that got hooked on drugs on purpose. Yeah. They always say, like, that's not going to happen to me. That happens to the other guy, And I never met anyone that was hooked on drugs that wished he never was. And the ones that we arrested back then, not all of them, but some of them, because they went to jail, they end up turning their life around, right. and now they support people to stay away from drugs.
Absolutely.
So, I think they're kidding themselves if they say they love drugs, because in the back of their mind, it's a monkey on their back, and they don't want it there anymore.
Absolutely. So one of our excellent partners we work with is the Real Team, working on a West Sound treatment and Agape. And they have lived experience. And to a person, each one of them I have talked to has told me that the way they got clean was by going to jail and being forced through the treatment process and rehab and everything else, and are now doing what you're talking about, which is helping others who are now in that situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And they make good advocates because they are experienced.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, some people may say, well, you don't understand. And it kind of reminds me of my daughter when she was a teenager. You don't understand my feelings. And in some cases, I may not. I don't understand the struggles that somebody who is addicted to fentanyl is going through. And that's why people like, Amanda Rodriguez from the Real Team, who just recently left, she was pivotal because she was out there every day saying, well, I understand your struggle and I'm here to help you and figure out how to get through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good to have people like that. And and I'm just going to throw this out again. It's good to have people like that, but we need to fix the other end of the problem and get the resources so that when they come, they can get resources.
100%. And it's something we're working on.
Well, everyone I talk to too, I've talked to all the leaders of mental health and the drug advocacy deal, and I tell them, check. Originally I wrote the grant for WestNet. Federal government has money. Every organization out there should be writing to get money for this type of resources because it's needed in this time and age. Anyway, what's your thoughts on the balance between providing immediate support and encouraging self-sufficiency?
That's the challenge. Like I said, I treat them like they're my family. So you need the compassion with the accountability, at least in the way that I'm doing it. And like having your kids at home, if you're only compassion, they're going to run amok throughout your house. There's going to be no order in your house. There's no consistency. But if you only rule with a stick, then your household's going to be miserable. That's why you need both. And so that's why when I'm out there, I let people know that, yes, I do care. I do want you to be better. I do want you to be healthy, but I'm going to hold you accountable for the drugs, for the assaults, for the warrants and everything else. And I believe that hopefully that they're thankful for that structure that we're trying to help provide for them rather than just letting them run amok.
I agree completely. You know, it's accountability and it's getting the resources.
Yeah.
And you can't have one without the other. You need both of them to make it work.
Absolutely.
I met you a couple of years ago at the fair, and you were passing out a list of resources that were available do you still do that?
Absolutely. It's called Sally's Guide. And I have a barcode on my phone now that somebody could just point a picture at. If they have a phone, it'll bring them up that whole list. So Sally's Guide is amazing.
Great. I don't know if they can do it. I might be out of line here, but if maybe you can give that code to Bremerton-Kitsap TV, and they can put it on their site.
I'll talk to them about that.
Yeah. We can put it right on the show too if you want. So, okay. Anything else you want to tell us about before we're getting down on time here?
No, I'm just thankful to be doing the job that I'm doing and to be working with the people I'm working with. So I have dozens of excellent partners. The HEART team, which is the homeless encampment response team, they are absolutely amazing in bringing all the resources we have together, all the people who are trying to help folks out there together, coordinating them, and then making sure that we have a unified response in the county. So they'll bring together, Public Works, the REAL team, the CARES team, everybody together to try to tackle this issue. So we're not just doing it haphazardly, separately from each other.
And that's a whole lot of people, different organizations can be putting in for grants to help.
Hey, if you're willing to write grants, I'm sure they'd be more than happy to have you help.
Well, the thing of it is you never get it approved the first time. And what you need to do is call some people that are sponsoring the grants and say, what do I need to get this grant passed?
Yeah.
And you communicate and work with them, and then the door's open for you and you can get it successfully.
So persistence is key.
Persistence and talking to the ones involved. That's about all we have for today. If you want to come back again, you're more than welcome to come back. Just get a hold of me and let me know, and we'll set something up. One quick question, though, is how many resource officers do we have in Kitsap County? Two. And we got how many people you said homeless?
We have 600 total.
600.
Previously, when we only had one community resource officer, Sean Montague, his job used to only be 10% of dealing with the homeless and 90% of other duties. And that changed. I almost flip-flopped completely, which is why they had to add that second position.
Oh, okay. Well, two's a good start.
It's a good start. Maybe not enough, but it's an excellent start.
Right. Well, that's, 300 per person. That's a whole lot of people to go see.
That's all right.
Yeah. But
Keeps me busy.
Thank you. I'm glad you're out there doing that. And give me a minute to say goodbye to these folks, and thank you for coming.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that concludes our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and learn some things about what's going on in our community. The show will be available for your viewing and also be available on our website. Until we see you again, stay safe out there. Remember that help is there. You just have to look for it, and we'll help give you the place. So, and it's not just for people in need, it's for families of people in need. You know, I know people that have ones that are mentally ill or they're on drugs. They're desperate to find somebody that will help their kids or their loved ones, and there are resources. So feel free to contact us, contact the Sheriff's Office, contact one of the resources on our link. Thank you, and have a great day and stay safe.